Welcome back. It's time now to have our daily press review and to analyze some of the main banners which were published in our newspapers. Let me first welcome our dear guest live here in the studio, Dr. Hala, Enara, our political analyst. Thank you very much for being with us, ma'am. And we are going to start from Al-Ahram, where we read, the ballot boxes await the Egyptian expats. 28 millions are to cast their ballots in the second phase of the parliamentary elections inside Egypt tomorrow. Egyptian expats start voting in the parliamentary elections today. The High Election Committee follows up with the heavy voting rate committees through cameras. 160,000 army personnel to secure the second phase, in addition, of course, to the police troops. The Ministry of the Interior Security Directorate took over all the voting stations to secure them. Still with the same issue, but from Al-Masri Al-Yawm this time. The second phase of the parliamentary elections kick off. 390,000 police and military personnel to secure the second phase. The governorates of the second phase get ready with operation rooms and warnings from violating the electoral silence. Also, Al-Yawm Al-Saba had something to say about the third step of our roadmap. The government lives the nightmare of empty polling stations. Expectations for an attendance percentage that will not exceed 25%, but I really do not know who is expecting that. Ma'am, regarding the third step of our roadmap, the parliamentary elections, since we have ended with those expectations, do you share those analysts that also the second phase is not going to enjoy more than 25% of the voters to go to the polling stations?
They are saying that based upon what happened on the first phase, Egyptian expats were very little. There was very few of them went to the polling stations for expats. Very few Egyptians went inside Egypt. So they are basing their analysis on that, and nothing changed. People who are coming to who are running elections this time or even people from the past, according to many people, or people we don't know. And the electoral campaign, in fact, sometimes I hear the propaganda and I say, I will not elect this person who is using this kind of songs to propagate for himself. This gives an idea who is this person, how he tells the people who he is. They are not serious.
Ma'am, don't you think that in media we were trying in the last 2 weeks or something to tell the people how much is going to have or is going to be a negative impact on the coming parliament if the Egyptians do not go to the voting to vote or to the polling stations? Because this way, meaning that or this image will end with a weak parliament, not able to represent the Egyptians after the 30th of June revolution and to represent our ambitions, our hopes, our dreams for a new Egypt.
In fact, the media said the same before the first phase. And people did not go because they don't know who are running or refuse some of those who are running. And the same applies to the second phase.
We wish that the Egyptians are going to surprise us.
Yes, we hope that people
in a positive way.
Yes, people will be more aware that it's their role to choose. Even if these are the worst people, they must choose.
They must do their homework.
So they don't complain later.
But that's it. Back to Al-Ahram front page, where we continue to read, the time of the nuclear work have started ticking. The Egyptian factories will produce 20% of the components of the nuclear reactor, concluding the administrative establishments. The Ministry of Electricity says a bunch of agreements for Dab'a's nuclear plant soon. Still with the same issue, but from Al-Yawm Al-Saba, the surprises and secrets of the Dab'a nuclear agreement. Al-Sisi and Putin signed the deal before the day that was agreed upon. The Russian side says it's the biggest project after the High Dam. Ma'am, how do you see the timing of signing this project? I mean,
in fact, this is an answer to who said that there is a break between Egypt and Russia after
Strained ties.
after the plane explosion.
Crash.
This means or crash. They said it's an explosion. The Russians said it's an explosion.
But we didn't yet.
We didn't, but the Russians said, and they told Egypt that it was an explosion. This is an answer that politics means interests. Egypt and Russia have common interests together, and they are not going to stop cooperation. This is a catastrophic accident, but it will not stop relations between Egypt and Russia. It will not stop cooperation in many projects they plan to cooperate. And Russia are going the same way with many other countries. With Iran, they didn't change their attitude in Syria. They didn't change their attitude with Iran. They are going on the same line. And we expect a very strong response to what happened, but not against Egypt as it was planned.
It's against terrorism.
Yes.
It's
it
not
was
against
planned
a country.
To be, it was planned to be against Egypt. The plan was to break relations between Egypt and Russia, to stop this cooperation, to stop what some circles describe as an alliance, as a new alliance between Egypt and Russia that replaces the alliance with the United States. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't want any real cooperation between Egypt and Russia because this fortifies both of them. And of course, we understand from what happened that there is a plan against Egypt. They want to destroy. A
conspiracy, to be accurate.
Yes, of course, a conspiracy. Some people say that Egyptians are living in the conspiracy theory, but politics are based on conspiracies all around history. No matter how we go back, it was conspiracies that drove history, that drove relations between countries, that was the cause of alliances between certain countries against other countries. There was always a conspiracy. Even the United States' participation in World War II was according to a conspiracy.
Yes, amen to that. To another conspiracy, but it happened in Mali this time. From Al Ahram front page, we read, Takfiris hold 170 hostages in a hotel in Mali. Mali's government declares a 10-day nationwide state of emergency after the extremists' attack on the hotel in capital Bamako that left 27 people dead. Still with the same issue, but from El Masri Al-Yawm, Mali races against time to save 137 hostages held by Al-Qaeda. And this was a little bit earlier than what really happened. Already they were rescued, those hostages, but unfortunately with 27 people dead. Still with the same issue, but from Al-Yawm Al-Saba, bloody attacks by Al-Qaeda on a hotel in Mali. The group allocates 20 million dinars for the head of Haftar, and here of course they are referring to Khalifa Haftar, the head of, or the commander of the Libyan forces. We do have more details in the coming report, so stay tuned.
Killed at least 27 people in an attack on a top hotel in the capital of Mali before Malian commandos stormed the building and rescued 170 people, many of them foreigners. 2 militants were killed in the attack. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita announced the death toll and said 7 people were wounded in the attack, which has been claimed by militant group Al-Murabitun and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, AQIM. Friday's assault on the Radisson Bleu hotel comes a week after deadly Daesh attacks in Paris that killed at least 130 people. Mali attack was the latest in a series of deadly raids this year on high-profile targets in the country, which has battled rebels based in its desert north for years. The attack is a sharp setback for former colonial power France, which has stationed 3,500 troops in northern Mali to try to restore stability after a rebellion in 2012 by ethnic Tuaregs that was later hijacked by militants linked to Al-Qaeda. It also puts a spotlight on veteran militant leader Mukhtar Bil Mukhtar, whose group Al-Murabitun staged the attack months after he was reported killed in an airstrike. The Minister of Internal Security said the gunman burst through a hotel security.
Welcome back. Dr. Hala, Mali and what happened in Mali yesterday. Is it a message, starting with Lebanon, this is an Arab country, then to France or to Paris, this is a key European player in the region, and then Mali to say that we are extending our hands deeply into Africa. Is it the message?
In fact, it never stopped, but this proves that terrorism net is connected all over the world. They are cooperating in Europe, in Africa, and they threatened in the near future in the United States. But do you notice that they never touched Israel? Those Islamists are targeting Islamic countries, are targeting Western countries, but they never came to Israel. Whoever analyzed the problem says that if the Middle East problem is solved, there will be no terrorism. But they do not attack the core of the problem. They never touch the core of the problem. They never touch Israel. No matter how many Palestinians are killed. Just yesterday, many people were killed.
Or using names of the holy sites of Islam. The so-called Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis never tried to free Bayt al-Maqdis or Al-Quds or Jerusalem of the Israeli occupation. So why you're naming yourself Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis or the supporters of Al-Quds or Jerusalem?
Israel is nearer than France, it's nearer than Mali, but they are confronting anyone who refuses their trial to control countries. That's why they are allocating $20 million for the head of Haftar, because this is the head of the army. Yes, this is the army confronting them. They don't want anyone to confront them. They are doing the same in Egypt. Egypt has been crying all the time. It's not only against us, it will be against all of you. Terrorism has no religion. There are no borders.
President al-Sisi said it more than a year ago, in September 2014, when he was for the first time having his speech in front of the General Assembly of the UN.
Yes, and what happens proved that he was right. Terrorism knows no borders, knows no religion, knows no allies. Their only allies are terrorists like them.
And we do only have 2 minutes, but we do have another headline coming from Al-Masri Al-Yawm. Europe immediately watches those who cross the Schengen borders. The European Union will step up checks on its citizens traveling abroad, tighten gun control and collect more data on airline passengers. This came through the EU nations meeting in Brussels. We have more details.
UN Security Council approved a French-sponsored resolution on Friday calling on all nations to redouble and coordinate